Okay, hi. Thank you for sending me the professional disclosure statement. Just before, so for our first session, usually we do a bit of like a background information thing. It's called an intake assessment. It's just so I can get a clearer picture of what's going on and a little bit about you. Um, and so you can feel more comfortable knowing that I have a little bit of background when we go forward. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Um, and I also would like you to know that um, I know um, that we might be like just off the bat, we might be from different, we have different experiences and we might be having like different, you know, cultural experiences as well. So if you feel like I should know something, just let me know and we can pause and deep dive into that.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you for letting me know.
Perfect. So um, I know your name and your age. But can you maybe just state it again just for official reasons?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Saxton Huggins,
Mm-hmm.
and I was born October 15th, 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Okay. Um, and would you maybe tell me a bit um, about you, like maybe your ethnic background?
I identify as a white female. I was raised a very Christian. I don't necessarily align with those values as much as like my parents do. But I was raised very Christian, so that's kind of the background.
And was there a point where you kind of decided um, that maybe wasn't for you?
I would say probably in my teens, I started to realize that it wasn't ideal for me. Parts of it are fine, but most of it I think is just not really how I live my life. I have three kids now and I haven't raised them Christian.
Mhm.
Um, so I think I've pretty much fallen pretty out of touch with it. Um, but I'd say around my teenage years is when that really started to happen.
Okay. Um, and has there been any pressure from your parents to raise your children Christian?
For sure. Yeah. My husband, or soon to be not, was not Christian, and we both kind of decided that we would just maybe try to raise our kids with good values and not um like kind of impose a set idea on them. And my parents were very unhappy about that. So we've had a lot of pushback from them. And like when my kids go to visit their grandparents, like Sunday is church day and they have to get dressed up and they have to do all of the things. Um, so it's been a little bit of tension, but I mean, ultimately we decided that that's what we wanted and that's what we followed through with.
Hmm. And I think that's really good that you stayed true to your values.
Thank
Um,
you.
that probably sounds like it would be a bit stressful though,
It
navigating those.
has been. Yeah.
And you mentioned you have a soon-to-be ex-husband.
hmm That's why I'm actually coming in today. We have been having problems for a long time and have kind of drifted apart. And I think that now we're just kind of having it's reached a pinnacle. I just recently found out that he had cheated as well. That wasn't, I mean, that's what's kind of broken it officially on my end, but of course there were many problems before that. But we haven't told the kids, they don't know. And I'm trying to figure out how to make it as like smooth and amicable as possible.
Mhm.
And kind of work through my feelings so that it doesn't come out negatively for the kids.
For sure. That must be really tough.
Yeah, it's been pretty challenging for sure.
If you don't mind me asking, how long or how did you find out that he cheated?
He actually told me, or I guess I kind of asked and he told me. I don't know, I just had kind of like that feeling. And I just one night he came home late and I asked and he just said yes. And it was kind of like I guess a shock and I didn't really think about um like I didn't have a ton of follow-up questions in the moment. But it turns out that he's a principal at a school. It was one of the teachers that worked at his school. Um, and since he's quit his job, because he was trying to figure out how to like make this work. Um, and I guess like, they had known each other for years because they've worked together for a while, but it just recently happened. I guess within the last month, I think. So
Um, and you said there had been a lot of problems beforehand.
yeah, we've just, I think, I really focused on the kids. I work part-time. Well, I was working part-time. I'm full-time now, but when my kids were younger, um, I was with them most of the time and kind of worked just on the side. And they were like my primary focus. And I think that maybe, you know, between me spending most of my time and energy on the kids and not him and I, and between him maybe not being as prepared for being a parent as I was, it kind of just drifted us apart slowly but surely. And we just haven't really regained that as the kids have kind of gotten older.
Mhm. Sounds a bit lonely as well.
Yeah, it's been challenging. I mean, we're basically like co-parent roommates now. But definitely we don't act like a married couple.
Hmm. And when did you make the decision to ask for a divorce?
I think it was like 2 weeks after he told me, so I guess maybe like 2 weeks ago ish. I think that's the right timeline, about 2 weeks ago.
Um, and you mentioned that you used to work part-time. What did you do?
Hmm. I was a legal secretary for a long time, and then did like kind of paralegal type of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and now I work in a lawyer's office and I'm kind of like a facilitator between like clients and lawyers, kind of like work as an advocate between the two. Um, so I've mostly been in legal offices, but not a lawyer.
Okay. And do you like the work that you do?
I do, yeah. I like my job. I work with a really good firm, and there's a lot of wonderful people. We have a lot of good, like pro bono social justice type of work that they do. So I appreciate that. Um, and I've been there for a while. I've kind of stayed at the same place and just kind of changed hours and positions. So it's definitely comfortable, and I enjoy the work that I do.
Hmm. Um, and so, if you don't mind me asking, how did you hear about me? Did you get a referral at all?
I think I looked up online. I know one of my friends came to this office. She sees a different therapist. I don't remember the name. Um, but I had basically looked on the website and kind of like seen the bio and was like, oh, this seems like a good fit. So I decided to try it out. I figured now would be a good time, if any, to try therapy.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you took the initiative and
Yeah,
work together.
yeah, me too.
Um, do you have any like personal history I should know about?
I don't think so. There's really no like medical history that I've had or like psychiatric history. Um, no hospitalizations besides like the usual things.
Mhm.
But no like psych hospitalizations.
Okay, and what about, are you on any medication?
No, I was taking like a blood pressure medication, but I just recently got off that. But other than that, no, just vitamins.
And do you have any family history with anything?
No, I think I had like a great aunt that had heart disease, I think is what she had. But nothing that I can recall from like family history.
Okay. And can you tell me a bit about your immediate family?
Yeah, like who is who?
Yeah, who is who, their relationship with you.
Yeah. Um, like I said, there's obviously my soon to be ex. I'm fairly close with, I have a strange relationship with my parents, I would say, with the whole religion thing. Um, I have a really good relationship with my husband's parents, and his sister as well. They have two kids that are kind of around the same age, so we get together a lot and do like big family things. Um, and I have a great relationship with all three of my kids. Um, and like a good social network, I would say. Like I like my coworkers and we hang out a decent amount. And then I have some friends outside of work as well. Um, but that's kind of like the immediate family unit.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, I probably should have asked this before, but how old are your children?
They are 7, 10, and 12.
Okay, perfect. Nicely spaced out, I would say.
Yes, yeah, we tried our best.
Um, are they both male or female or non-binary or
Yeah, two girls and a boy. The boy is the youngest. Yeah, two girls.
um and what about um your developmental history? Would you be able to tell me a bit about how you grew up or your childhood?
Yeah, I would say it was fairly normal childhood. Um, I have a brother as well. I'm not super close to him. He kind of stuck with my parents' side of the super religious thing. He's a pastor now in like in one of those mega churches. And married, has a couple of kids, but like very, very serious about his religion, which again is kind of a division for me and that side of the family. Um, but we both, I mean, we were close when we were younger. We kind of got drug around by our parents to do all of the like church things. Like there's always like some type of community organization or like charity thing that you have to help with. Like that was always really big, which, you know, is like in theory it's a good thing to teach your kids. I just think maybe the way they went about it was not great. Um, but we were pretty close growing up, and um, I wouldn't say that my parents have like the best marriage, but they definitely would never get divorced or separated. Um, no matter like what was going on, that's just not part of their belief system. Um, so I do think that that kind of has an interesting impact on how I view relationships because their relationship is definitely strained. But again, there's nothing they would do to kind of change it or work on it. They're kind of just like, well, that is what it is. Um, so that was interesting, I think, now looking back.
Um, would you be able to tell me a bit more about your parents' marriage and how it was strange?
Yeah, I think that I mean, they got married very young because, again, their belief was like, don't have sex before marriage. So I think that kind of like pushed them into it a lot quicker. And they had us fairly young as well. Um, and then kind of just, maybe they grew apart a little bit, or maybe they were never really evenly matched. Um, but they, usually have their fights and their disagreements pretty often. Um, they don't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. Um, and I think there's just always like a tension in the house and kind of like, there's always an argument that's happening in the background of whatever's happening like throughout the day. Yeah.
That must have been tough as a kid.
Yeah, it was I think we kind of ignored it or didn't necessarily know what it was. Um And now, like I said, looking back, there's a lot more awareness, I think, around that. Um, but originally, I think it was kind of just like, oh, that's just how it is. Like, we didn't really know any different.
And did you notice anything similar in your own marriage?
Um, well, I mean, yes, in the fact that we kind of grew apart. I think that we were better matched when we were like when we first had gotten together and got married. And I think just having the kids, that was my primary focus. And again, maybe he wasn't ready to um be a parent or really like understood kind of like the work and energy and time that that required. Um, so, I mean, I know it's on both of us. Like, I could have made more of an effort to show up and spend time with him. Um, and of course he could have made more of an effort as well. So I do think that, it takes two to get to this point. Yeah.
Um, yeah, that may be true, but I do at the same time I think that um, something such as cheating is a really big thing to have to go through and overcome.
Hmm. Yeah, it is.
It's hard to come back from.
Yeah.
And how is he as a dad?
He's a good dad. He's a good dad. He's very involved with the kids and their, things, taking them to sports things or music things or whatever the thing is. Um, the kids like spending a lot of time with him. He does a lot of the fun things. I'm more of like the do doctor's appointments and things like that. And he um, gets to do a lot of the fun things with them, if I'm at work on a weekend or something like that. So they have a really good relationship with him. And I think that they're used to being in the same house, and this separation is going to be challenging. Because I'm not sure how aware they are of the issues that we have. So I am concerned about that.
Um, have you guys hinted at anything towards the children yet?
No, we've kind of tried to keep it as normal as possible, I think, until we had like officially decided what to do. And he's really still not on board with the divorce. So that's definitely made it a little bit more complicated as well.
Oh, okay. So are you saying that it's more of a one-sided thing?
Yeah, I would say it's more on my side right now than his.
Mm-hmm. Have you filed for divorce already, or is it just the intention is there?
Just the intention so far. We've kind of talked about what that would look like and how we would want to work with the kids on that. I think the more important part is like the actual separation and figuring out like how do we divvy up all the things, who stays in the house,
Mm-hmm.
what's the kid schedule is going to be, how do we keep it normal for them or as normal as possible. Um, I'm less concerned about like the legal filing of it at this point. But we definitely will get to that.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like there's a lot of um, good communication towards um, what the future will look like and how the kids' lives will look like.
Yeah, I think we're both on the same page in that regard of just trying to be as um, not turn the kids' lives upside down as much as possible.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good goal to have.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any specific early memories or experiences?
Hmm. I think one really good memory that I can recall right now is it was like a summer day and we were playing in my grandmother's yard, and she had like one of those really long tree swings. Um and like my brother was sitting like eating a peach or something, and my dad was pushing me on the swing, and we were kind of just like talking and laughing and hanging out. And I That's one of the earlier memories I have that I really enjoy.
Hmm. That sounds like a very comforting memory.
Yeah, it is. I like I like that one. That one comes to mind whenever anybody's like, "Oh, how was your childhood?" You're kind of like, "Oh, that was that."
And how about how old were you in that memory?
Um, I think my brother was like 2, so I must have been 5, probably about 5.
Mhm. Were you close to your grandmother?
Yeah, we would go see her every summer. It was kind of like, the 2-week trip or whatever we would do, um, and see her and kind of like hang out. And she lived like in the countryside, so it was always like a lot of space, which was really nice. And we would kind of get to run around and, you know, do all the fun summer things.
And what was she like?
She's always very warm. I remember her being a very warm person. Um, she was like the ultimate grandmother, like to bake the cookies, cook the dinner, sew clothes, like that kind of thing. Um, but she was always like cuddly. She would read bedtime stories and um, yeah, I would describe her as very warm.
And did the connection stay as you grew up?
Yeah, she passed away when I was maybe like 15, I want to say, 15 or 16. Um, and we had had a great relationship up to that point. Um, yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
thank you.
Sounds like it was a great model for a healthy relationship, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she was a really good person.
And is that your mom's mom or your dad's mom?
Dad's mom.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, what about your educational history?
Yeah, so I finished high school. I got my undergrad um in like business and finance management. Don't ask me why. I don't know what the original plan was going to be with that. Um, I don't really use it now. And then I went back and got my master's in like this, it was like a cross between like criminal justice and like legal, what did they call it at the time? They've changed the name. It was like legal, like information or whatever. Um, and so that's kind of what got me into doing the like paralegal type of thing and the secretary. Um, so yeah.
Um, yeah, and did you do your education at the same school, your bachelor's and your master's?
No, I was born and raised in Georgia and did my bachelor's in Georgia. And then I just recently moved, or when I got my master's, I had just recently moved um, to Chicago. And then that's where I am now. So Georgia and then Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That must have been quite a move, moving from Georgia to Chicago.
Yeah, it was. It was with my husband. We had met in Georgia. He's also from there. And we decided we wanted to try something different, move to a big city instead of the country life. Um, so we made that big shift kind of together, which was interesting and fun. Um, and definitely made it a little easier to move, having someone, to move with.
For sure, yeah. It's a little bit less isolating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it your first time away from your hometown?
First time for like actually moving. Like I had always done like camps or like, summer abroad or something, or summers with my grandmother. But like as far as like an actual move, all your stuff type of thing, yeah, it was the first time I'd been out of Georgia.
Hmm. And how did you feel about it?
Excited. I think it was time to leave. Georgia ended up being like really small and isolating at times, I think, and just everybody in my hometown kind of had the same views and was um, it was kind of just like replicas of each other. So it was nice to move somewhere that was very diverse and had a lot more going on, like restaurants open past 9 p.m. type of thing. So we had a lot of fun kind of exploring the big city life.
Yeah, a whole new world.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry.
Mm.
Well, it sounds like we've made good progress, and maybe we can leave it there for now. And for our next session, if you'd like, we can um, dive a bit more into background, and from what we've learned so far, we can um, tie that more into the current situation,
Mhm.
and maybe see how it's connected and how it helps with um, playing out, and see how we can solve how you feel about the divorce, and maybe talk a bit more about your marriage.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I hope you felt okay so far. How are you feeling currently? Do you have any bodily sensations?
No, I think I feel good. It's nice to kind of talk and get some of this off my chest for sure.
I'm glad to hear that. Have you been
Yeah.
talking to anyone else about it so far?
Nope. This is mostly it. We haven't really told anyone. So besides like my best friends or something,
Mhm.
um, this is pretty much it.
Yeah, so then it must definitely be nice to get it off your chest.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm. Um, well, we have our next session scheduled for the same time next week.
Yep,
So if
that works.
everything goes according to plan, then I'll see you then.
Awesome. I will see you then.
Perfect. Thanks, Sexton.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.